Hello there and welcome to Dawn and Julia Create. Although today it is Dawn has challenged Julia because our lovely Dawn is taking a well-deserved break. If anyone has watched her channel, boy that woman can craft for Britain. She's constantly on there. So our Dawn's having a wee holiday, and just to keep things going she decided to keep me entertained while she was having her little holiday, her little break. And I have been challenged to create a page or something just using green. Now this is because I moan and groan about that lovely challenge that she made me do a while back, where we had to do, was it two cards, one sheet of paper, and she chose the most hideous paper in the world. Now I have to say, contrary to popular belief, I don't actually have an issue with green. I have an issue with snot green, and you know, that is what we were dealing with. It was the most hideous shade of green. Now I like, so I'm just playing right now. I have absolutely no plan. Right now I'm just getting colour on the page, and seeing as the colour that I have to use is green, that is what we are going for. So yeah, at the minute I am just doing a little bit of spraying. I've sort of rediscovered my sprays recently, so yeah, they're kind of on everything. It's like all my videos, it's like Julia is spraying again. So I'm going to get those down. So that was my Distress Oxide and Twisted Citra, and I have Fresh Lime in the Dilutions. I also have this one, which is a Glimmer Mist. So I'm going to put some of that on as well. And I'm working in my Diane Reevely journal. Again, so I bought this and was so excited about all the different substrates, and then I didn't get on with it overly well, if I'm honest. But oh, now that's darker than I wanted it to be. But then all the girls have sort of been raving on and on about it, so I'm trying to rediscover it a little bit. So I'm going to, I don't really like how that bit's turned, so I'm going to add a bit more splashing onto that. Right, I'll let that dry, and then I have just recently treated myself to some of the Dina Wakley gloss sprays. Now I don't think I needed any more sprays, but gloss sprays, when I saw Lou Sims playing with them, they do behave very differently to other sorts of sprays, and so I really fancied giving them a try. So I'm not going to be able to display what I mean overly well with this make, because I'm sort of sticking with the sort of monochromatic look of just using greens, but we'll give them a try. So they dry glossy, and the other thing Dina Wakley says is she quite likes them to leave them to dry naturally, so we may have to do that. But when you use alcohol inks, the colour that you put on top is the colour that will win. So these don't blend together. You don't have to worry about creating mud, because whatever colour, they're designed to sort of mingle but not blend, as it were. So this is a olive, okay, and now if I put this one on, which is the lime, if I put that on, the lime will become the predominant colour, but what will happen is the olive will want to sort of kick through, and we'll get some sort of cell effect working. As I said, now these might not be the best substrates to show this on, or they might not be, as I said, it's probably easier to show if I was to put two colours together, but because, unless, let's try a blue. This is turquoise, and to be honest, turquoise is a bluey green, so I don't think, and I'm only going to use a little bit, but I just kind of want to show you what I mean. So I'm going to put some of this turquoise on there. As I said, it's still giving an overall look of green, and then if I, let's do this. and then what will happen is the turquoise will start to sort of push through a little bit. As I said, I think I probably need to do it on I think the surface is almost a little bit too porous. It probably works slightly better on a smoother surface, but we can have another play with another video with that. So that is me sort of started, I feel. It's looking okay, but I'm kind of almost needing more of a contrast, but all my greens are quite similar. So let's let that dry, and then I will maybe come in with some paints. I'm just going to pop this into another journal. So I've pulled out some washes, so I think I am probably allowed other stuff on, so I may do some like stamping with black and stuff. I'm going to try and keep it as monochromatic as possible, but I think the idea is to use as many green supplies on the one project as possible. I'm having difficulty drying this side, but I think it's because we've got a cotton fabric in that, and it's just maybe taking that a little bit longer to dry. So we'll work on this side. So I'm going to pop this one down because it's just one of my favourite washes at this moment in time for adding interest to a page. It's sort of like my latest obsession. I love this washi. So I'm going to get some of this down. Oops. And it doesn't matter that it doesn't go down straight, and it doesn't matter that it's torn a bit, so I'm just trying to add a little bit of interest to the page. I'm going to just tear down that bit because I do much prefer a torn edge. I just think it looks a lot more organic, and yeah, I likes it, quite frankly. Okay, trying to push it up so that we can see. I'm having issues with my camera, honestly. It's like, and the only way I can get it to do anything is if it's halfway up the page. Now I'm not quite sure how well the washi is going to go with this fabric page. I have sort of made life more interesting for myself, the fact that I'm working on a canvas as well, but you know, if needs be, we'll get the stapler out. I'm just trying to see what I can do. So these are some washes. Oh, they've got a bit of a green element to them. They are quite old, so I inherited them, but they're quite old, so they don't work overly well. Like she says, I was going to say, I don't tend to be able to get big long strips with them normally. They just tend to disintegrate on me, but managed to get a bit there. So now I'm just building up some interest with some more layers, and we will just see what happens. I do love washi. It's a nice way of building up layers, and also you don't lose what's gone below because it's sort of semi-transparent. Yeah, things aren't working very well on this side. Hitting this canvas with the heat gun is just making it sort of shrink a little bit. I'll work with that and fray the edges to make it look a little bit better, but at the minute I'm just going to sort of leave that as it is. I've managed to get a bit of tape down, but as I said, I think what I will do is I will grab some staples. So I'm just going to add a few more bits and pieces of washi to the mix, and then see what other, I think I have some green nouveau mousses, so we can maybe add some texture with that. And as I said, yeah, I have no plan at the minute. I'm just sort of putting everything together, and we will see what unfolds. Little cat, I'm hearing a little twinkle, hearing a little bell. You have a bell round your neck. Hello, you. Hello. Come on in. come and say hello to everybody? No. The house is very quiet because my daughter is having a week's holiday with her grandma. So yeah, it's the whole house just seems very quiet. It's very strange just being able to craft uninterrupted. Right, so that's another one on there. So we've managed to get some different washes on here. So as I said, I'm just going to add a bit more here, and then we will secure these ones here with some staples. Just I'll add extra texture and interest as well. So let's do that. I'll grab my stapler if I can find it. Nothing's wanting to work for me today. It's because I've got a gazillion things to do. We're going away on Sunday, and honestly my to-do list is beyond crazy. And yeah, it's just a bit mad, and then everything that I try and do, I've attempted to do about 3 or 4 different jobs today, and then but to do those I've needed to wait for my husband to do something, and he's fixing the roof on the summer house for some reason. I didn't know it needed done, but yeah, that is his focus. So yeah. Right, there we go. It's all secured, and then as soon as we have to stand up because I can't. This is so far along my desk that I just actually can't get it to work for me. So we'll just stand up. Where there's a will, there's a way. Okay, so we've done that. So texture paste, let's go for it. So this is Nouveau Mousse Spring Green. I'm just gonna, don't know if you need to do this, but I quite like doing it. I just feel it softens it a little bit. So I'm just gonna grab a little bit of that, and then let's just get some of this working across the page for us. So I've got it sort of pulling out from the embellishments that we've got in the corner there. Oh, I like that. I like it, I like it. Okay. And we will bring a bit down here as well. It's going to look different because the background is just, you know, we've got it going against the actual canvas, and then we've got it against that bright green. And then I think I'm going to bring, so it's sort of in the middle of both, bring some out from here. I'm thinking I'm going to grab a few background stamps and just do a little bit of stamping kind of around these areas because these are kind of needing to dry. And I'm going to go have a cup of tea and do one of the other gazillion jobs that need doing, and come back to this when it's a bit drier. Now I'm just going to have a rake through. I've got some green. Let me just grabbing the first background stamp that came to my hand. This is a Carabelle one. Love, love, love. So this is a green, what have we got here? Cottage Ivy by Memento. So let's just, so I'm going to have to be careful because I don't want to end up with Nouveau Mousse on it, but we're just going to help to add a little bit of interest because it's all quite samey at the minute. It's kind of, actually it looks better in real life. The colour tones in real life are sort of, there does seem to be a bit of a contrast, but on the camera that contrast is not showing overly well. So yeah, so that's another sort of green element there, and as I said, I am going to come back when these bits have dried a little bit, and then we'll work out what we'll do next. Okay, so I have printed out the lovely Gloria. This is one of my digi images, and I've printed out quite big because I was thinking she'd make a great centerpiece on this. But I've also printed her out onto some pattern paper, and what I was going to do is I'm going to fussy cut the spots and put those into her there. And then these are papers from Clever Prints, Emma Blake's, and I'm also going to fussy cut out all those leaves and we'll build a little scene. And then I've got this paper here. So for the minute I'm just going to tear strips of this paper, and I'm liking that sort of white core, so I'm just going to tear bits of it and we'll get that onto our page in various places. Maybe need to stick it down with gel medium. So yeah, just trying to find different ways of introducing this green in various ways. So we've kind of inked and done different bits and pieces, and yeah, I'm trying to get these bits so that we've got the white core showing, because it just helps to differentiate between the layers of things if we are able to do that. This is proving a little bit tricky. Right, so got some there, and then let's get a little bit more. Don't worry, all these little bits will get used. Right. So, and I want bits. No, actually, I think we'll just keep that on there. Right, so let's grab some gel medium, and we will get that stuck down. She says. I know it's here. There we go. Right. So, grab that, and I'm just trying to see where my blending tool, my blending thing has gone. Probably going to have to pause the camera and ask hubby, because he was fiddling about in my craft space the other day, so who knows where that's got put, but I will find it in a moment. I'll just get this stuck down here. So I'm just putting a bit of the gel underneath and above the page. Okay. Bits popped. There we go. Right, and then we'll do the same over here. That's a bit too long. There we go. And then we've got this one here. Okay, right, so I'm just going to pop that to the side a minute while that dries, and we can look at, have some water nearby. I'm all at 6 seconds, right, I'm just going to pop that to the side, and I'm just going to have to rediscover where my blending mat has been placed. So I am going to, I've got Shabby Shutters in, Distress Ink in Shabby Shutters and Cracked Pistachio. So I'm putting on the Shabby Shutters first because it's a duller green, and then we will brighten that up in a bit with the Cracked Pistachio. But I'm just basically pulling a little bit of colour in. I'm not going to put a huge amount, I'm just taking away the starkness of that white, because yeah, it'll just look better on the page, but the real pop is going to come from the fact that I'm going to be fussy cutting out the giraffe's spots from that paper. So that's the thing. I've been doing a series on my Facebook Lives talking about various things that you can do with your digital stamps, and I really need to sort of bring some of those techniques into videos over here, which I will. But this is one of the techniques that I looked at, and basically you can do your paper piecing. So when I've got the size that I wanted, I've popped it through my printer and asked it to print twice, and I've had a plain bit of paper in my printer and a fancy a design paper in my printer. And then if you do that, will just cut it out twice. Now, actually, I'm going to bring in a bit of yellow, and I'm not sorry about this because basically green is yellow and blue, so I'm not going to get a yellow from this, I'm going to get a green from it, but it's just going to lift it. So that green there was just kind of getting into the realms of that sort of snot green that I don't like. So this is going to look green on it. I'm still making green, but I'm doing it using a yellow supply. And I don't think that's cheating, because as I said, somebody had to mix that. Whoever mixed that mixed yellow, you know, whoever made that ink, they mixed yellow and blue together. Whoever made this one, they mixed yellow and blue together, just in slightly different quantities. So I think there's no harm in me mixing yellow and blue together to make green either. Right, and now I'm going to get this cracked pistachio on. And as I said, this is just going to help to give shades and tones to our work. Let's bring that round. So definitely got a very monochromatic feel to the page. So the next thing I'm going to do a lot of this off camera. We've had a little bit of a disaster with the camera. Last night, as my husband was sort of sorting stuff out in the spare room, we heard this bang, and this morning we've realised it is my battery charger. So I only have the one battery, and I have to make 3 different videos today before I head away on holiday. So I'm just hoping that the battery power is going to last. So I'm needing to do as much as I can to save it. So what I'm actually going to do is, I'm going to do all this fussy cutting off camera, but I'm just going to show you what I'm going to do. So that is one of the spots. But then with that, I'm going to take some of this spare ink and just get the edges of that, and that's just going to define it that little bit more. And then I will find the corresponding point on my giraffe and then just stick that on, and it's just going to add a little bit of variety to those spots. Now I'm thinking that I need to deepen that a bit more because it's not standing out overly from what she looks like already. So I'm just needing to darken the tones of that just so that the spot actually stands out, but we've still got the lovely pattern. It's quite subtle, but we've still got the lovely pattern from the paper, but you see that stands out quite a bit more now if I do that. So I'm just going to keep doing that, and I'm also going to cut out these leaves, and then we will put the page together. Okay, so I have everything coloured and cut out. Gloria's been paper pieced there. I've got some big pile of leaves next to me. Or I should have a big pile of leaves next to me. Yep, they've ended up under my book. And we will get this in. So I think I'm going to put her in, but slightly off centre. So I'm just going to cut her up a little bit. And I just find it easier doing this than folding it into the crease. It just never seems to work overly well when I do that. So I'm just going to drop that. Okay. And then that would put this about here. Okay. Like so. So we will get her put in. Looks a bit strange at this moment in time, but we'll get her put in. Probably actually be best with my gel medium here, so let's pull that back in. Because it's quite big, and I've used quite a stiff card as well. So I'm just going to get a load undercoated there, and then I'm going to just put some on the reverse, slap it all over the joint. So, and let's pop that down, and then I'm just going to secure some of the edges. It is going to give it a slight gloss look, but we'll just have to work with that, I think. Best way of securing it down to D. So, actually, I'm just needing to move that over slightly so it's into the crease a bit better. There we go. my patter. Concentrating. There we go. Right, now let's piece her back together so she's not all chopped up. That's, oh, there we go. That's where she matches, just there. Underneath, it just means we've got a really good adhesion, and once it's all stuck down we shouldn't have anything going astray. So I'm matching up with her eye there. There we go. Get that in. Like so. And then we've got a little top of our I don't know what these bits are called. I want to say antennae, but that's not right because that's for bugs, not for giraffes. But you know what I mean. They look a bit like that, don't they? I'm not quite sure what they're called. Does anyone know? Antlers? They're not ears, because those are the ears. I don't actually know. But whatever they are, they're incredibly cute. Right, there we go. So that's that done. I've also chopped out some clouds from scrap paper. It's literally scrap paper. Look, oh no, hang on, this one. I've got lists on the background. And I'm going to just bring these in. So these I've literally just sort of chopped out a bit of a cloudy shape, and then I've inked it with evergreen bough and twisted citron, I think. I just thought it helps to build up a scene, especially. And I'm going to tear this because I've kind of frayed the edges because I was a bit overzealous with the heat gun. It's kind of shrunk the page a little bit, which is fine. But I just want to sort of marry that look through the whole page. Then I don't want it to. I kind of just want it to match. So I'm going to bring this over this side as well. Right. Now I need to build up with some leaves. I kind of made a bit of a mistake there and my brush rested on that, so I'm going to cover that up. I know I want to do that. I'm just going to build up. It's almost like she's sort of in the middle of the jungle and got her head in the trees, having a wee nibble of something or other. Down. So it's looking quite good. I am just wanting to bring in a splash of colour. Now technically, I mean, I think I'll probably stick with the green because I'm going to be good. But technically it was use as many green supplies as you had. And or use lots of green supplies. I don't know if it's every single supply. But I've used a fair few. We've used sprays, we've used inks, we've used yeah, so we've had the gloss spray, the dilution spray, oxide spray, we've used distress inks, we've used Nouveau Mousse, I've used what do you call that other one? Memento inks, I've used green paper. So I would say that, you know, I've covered the brief because we have used lots of green. So I reckon I'm okay. So but I'm kind of tempted. I'd quite like to just bring in a wee splash of pink or something. I don't know. Quite frankly. This isn't looking quite right over here. I want to make sure, I'm just going to put some here because I want to make sure that in fixing that bit over there I don't forget that I was wanting some down here as well. So I'll get that on now. I love those pictures where you see giraffes and they're just sort of like, their heads, and they're surrounded by leaves with their heads in the clouds. I just think that's really cool. That's kind of what I'm going for here, in a strange monochromatic look. I think it's this one that's wrong. Right, move that without destroying the... No, that's well and truly stuck. Okay, that's fine, we'll just work over it. We'll get there. It's getting there. So I think what I want to do now is probably do some shadowing. So I will see what, I think I'm going to go for like a greeny blue, so it'll be a green but with a stronger element of blue in it. And we will just do some shadowing around some of these parts. Now, as I said, like I'm a bit concerned. I've got one camera battery to last me 3 videos and no ability to charge anymore. So I will start with you, but then I will probably, I know I normally pop you on fast forward, but I'll probably actually on this occasion just turn the camera off, and then yeah, we'll see how things are then. But let me just grab, let me see what I got. So I've got some pencils here. This one looks like it'd be quite good, but as I said, I fancy one with more, maybe this one. I'm needing a greeny blue. Should I try that one? Because I want to make sure that I'm sticking to my green theme. But as I said, obviously green is made up of yellow and blue, so as long as we have that combination, which I think would, well, green aquamarine, so yeah, I think that suits, so that's what that one is there. So the reason I do the shadowing, I think it brings the page together. Sorry, if you watch me regularly, you'll have heard me say this a whole lot, but anything in life has a shadow. If you have something, if I do that, as soon as you put something in front of something else, it creates shadow, it creates light and dark, and it is a really easy and effective way of creating depth to your project, making it just kind of can lift it to a whole other level, because you've got that sort of light and shade thing. And also because dark colours recede to the background, they push the light colours forward, so you automatically create that illusion of a lot more depth in your project. So especially in working in a journal like this, I have added things like staples and things like that, but I maybe wouldn't be adding chipboards in it or big 3D flowers, just because the spine's not going to take it. By the time the water, by the time the pages warp with water and get built up with mediums and things like that, your book's already going to become quite fat. It's not going to close, and so there's a limit to how much you can create depth on your page with sort of product and actual physical thickness, as it were. Whereas this is a really good way of creating that 3D effect, but in a way that sort of works within your page. Now, I think it's fully worth it. I think a project looks so different if you take the time to actually do this. But as I said, it is a little bit of a lengthy process. So I'm just, briefly going to explain why and show you what I'm doing. So I'm using Inktense. The reason that I use Inktense is it works like a watercolour, and I like that because it's something that I'm quite familiar with and comfortable with, so it works for me. So I tend to find I manage to get the sort of light and shade and depth of colour that I want a little bit easier. So that is what works for me. But then once it is dry, it is an ink. So it's permanent. So then if you start playing with your other mediums, you're not going to find that all the work that you've put on shadowing starts to undo and to move. So I like it from that point of view as well. So I am starting off just by scribbling round, and then I'm taking water to it and activating it and pulling that out so that I end up with my darkest shade right next to the object, and then I sort of pull it out and lighten it with water. And so I'm just going to keep gradually doing that, but hopefully you can see the difference between this side of the page, like those leaves, and what a difference that actually makes. So as I said, I'm just going to continue working with this. Now on here I'm having difficulty because we've got that medium. I'm having difficulty to get there, so I'm maybe not going to get exactly the same depth here, but we'll get something. We should be able to get something to create a bit of a contrast anyway. Yeah, so I'm just going to keep going with that, and then I'll be back to you when I'm done. And I think once we're at that stage, we're going to make the finishing touches, so maybe a sentiment, a few splashes, probably a bit of a doodle, a doodly border, something like that, and then that'll be us done. But I'll be back with you soon. Okay, so I've done all my shadowing. You'll see that the shadowing looks more definite on this half than on this, and that's because on this side I'm working on a canvas, and on this side it's a kind of a cotton paper. So yeah, it's all adding to the various textures. Now I wanted to add a sentiment. I printed out a load of these sentiments on Saf Mat, and the only one I can find is this one. So this is the one we're using, because today is a very busy day. I have a list as long as your arm. In fact, it's that bad I don't often write lists. I'm constantly getting encouraged to by various people, like my husband and the girls over on Crafting Together with All Brands. They're always encouraging me to write lists. Today I feel like I've got about 3 days work to do in one day. So yeah. Now I'm going to add a bit of pink, just because I feel we're needing a bit of a contrast. Not a lot, but just something to add a little bit of contrast to the page. So I'm just adding some dots in and around the leaves, almost to sort of indicate a little bit of foliage. It's just another detail to add in, but I'm just thinking this is me sort of on my finishing touches. I'm doodling, which I normally do a lot, but I normally do it with a black or white pen, and today I've just gone for a bit of pink. I'm just going to add a bit to the flower there as well. I just feel we need a pop of contrast, so why not? Why not? So just colouring that in, and we'll add more definition to that with my white pen in a minute. But I just feel, yeah, I think I've definitely fit the brief. I've used loads and loads of greens, and I just feel that we're needing just that bit of random contrast. So one of my favourite looks is like a monochrome look with a splash of colour, and so quite often we maybe think of monochrome as black and white, but monochrome is basically multiple tones of the one colour, which is what we've got with the page. So my splash of colour is just this little bit hot pink in the middle, and I'm using a Jane Davenport paint over pen for this. I'm just going to colour that in. As I said, we'll create a little bit of a light and shade with a paint, with another paint pen. I've also got this turquoisey one, which is part of the green family, and now I'm just going to have to pause that. So I'm going to add this, counts as part of the green, because again we're working with a teal, which is a mixture of blue and yellow, which makes green. So I'm just going to colour in the polka dots like so. Just think that. Let's give it a bit of eyeliner. Because why not? Right, now I'm going to grab a white pen. So I've got my Posca here. See if I can get it going. It probably might be better with my graphite, it's thicker. What other pens do I have? Everything just seems to be everywhere on my desk right now. Right, and then we'll just get, yeah, now that that's getting going, I'm just going to doodle some white lines into the flower. Just make it look that bit more, well, it's not exactly realistic, but it just lifts it because we've got different colour tones going in. So we'll get some more white doodles going there. Okay, I quite like that. Let's just give it a loose and doodly feeling, and it stops it from being a flat colour. So that's a really quick and easy way of making something, you know, no longer being a flat colour, just some scribbly and doodly lines. So yeah, that's all looking good. Now, I am just looking for my Jane Davenport pen, which is just here. And the reason I really must get the full pack of these actually with all the different nibs. I think I said that on another video I've just made, but it's just that it goes over all surfaces, and because on this page now obviously that side's fabric, this side is a cotton watercolour, I'm going over gel medium, I'm going over bits that are slightly damp, that I do need a marker that's going to take all of that, and this Jane Davenport one is very good for that. But it's a little bit thicker than what I'm used to using, so I definitely keep meaning to invest. Just as I said, she's got it so that there's a selection of different nib widths, and I must do that. So you can see that there's a slight difference on this side, but we're working on, on a fabric. It's like a canvas. It's like the canvas bags you get. Okay, so that is that. We are definitely on the home straight. I'm just going to grab a spare bit of scrap paper. Let's just cover our little Gloria up, and I'll cover the sentiment up, and then I am going to do some splatters just to finish off, because quite frankly it wouldn't be without a few splatters. Oops. Okay, so just left that, and there we go. So that is my challenge from the lovely Dawn, all complete. You will see us again in a fortnight. So yeah, and this is my challenge here, which was to use as many green supplies as I could on one project. I have put in a splash of pink, but I do just think it has lifted the page and made it pop, so hopefully that's okay, and hopefully Dawn will forgive me and I'll not be on the naughty step. If I am on the naughty step, I'm sure I'll find about that very soon and end up with another challenge. So if I have been deemed naughty, then I'll no doubt it might be me doing another challenge again next time. We will see. Right, okay, so that's it. If you have enjoyed it here, please do consider liking and subscribing, and I'll be back again very soon. Okay, take care then, and goodbye.